God is all-powerful, so he could have just snapped his fingers and forgiven everybody, but that would have been a cheap grace, a meaningless forgiveness. Evil must be dealt with. Evil must be overcome. From the beginning, creation is ordered toward distinction bound in love. God himself is a distinction of three persons, bound so closely in love as to be one God. Through God's outpouring of love in creation, God made creation to also be a distinction bound in love. In the Garden of Eden, when humans chose to disobey God, we broke the original unity we enjoyed with God. As a result, God established that the price of our disobedience, the price of our sin, is death. God established the covenant and the law to bring his people back into relationship with him. Much of the law concerns the proper way to worship, to enter into relationship with God. The form of worship is sacrifice, the handing over to God the things that are God's. Christ fulfilled the law by the perfect worship, communion with God in the form of sacrifice. All of the previous sacrifices could not atone for sin, but because Jesus, as God incarnate, was perfect, his perfect obedience in his death and resurrection overcame death. Christ's resurrection opened up a new dimension of life that affects us all, a new space of being in union with God. Jesus took the form of a servant and took all human disobedience upon himself. By Jesus acting both as God toward man and as man towards God, he established the new covenant for all eternity that restores our relationship to God. Jesus' death and resurrection open up for all the world and its history a communion with God. Jews, who are God's chosen people, and Gentiles, the scattered children of God, can both enter into this new covenantal relationship with God. This is a new worship that draws mankind into Christ's vicarious obedience. This is a great gift for all mankind. But we are allowed to choose whether we enter into this new worship. God gives us the great dignity of allowing us to participate in our sanctification through the perpetual sacrifice of the Mass. During the Mass, the sacrificial death and resurrection is made present in the Eucharist. Through the words of consecration, our now is taken up into the hour of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. If Christ hadn't died on the cross as the Paschal Lamb, he couldn't have given himself as the bread of life. The bread of life is true manna, the communion of God through Jesus Christ. Instead of snapping his fingers to forgive everybody, God acts gently, revealing himself to a select few. Christ is perfect charity when he dies on the cross as the fullness of self-gift. God waits for our free choice, and when our answer is no, he opens up a new path of love.